Hey there, what's up gamers? My name is Fatima Qureshi with Gamehubs, and today we're going to be going through our series 10 Years of Gaming. As we have entered into the unknown of 2020, we're looking back at all the amazing games that we've been playing these last 10 years. So many memorable moments have happened that have staked a claim in video game history forever. From Red Dead Redemption, The Last of Us, Mass Effect, and so much more. The storytelling in games has been elevated to an amazing degree, and there's no shame in saying that you leaked a tear or two when a character died. Or in my case, just full out ugly cried. Here's our list of 10 heart-wrenching moments in games in the last 10 years. Watch out for Spoiler Squad. In the last 10 years, we were not only given one gunslinging cowboy epic, but two. It's all fun and games in the Rockstar universe, pub fighting, robbing houses, and horse chasing. But the true beauty of Red Dead Redemption is in its story, and both these games did not disappoint. In each ugly cry moment over the years, we've had to watch our protagonist grow, reform, but ultimately perish at the hands of fate. In Red Dead Redemption 1, you play as John Marston, a reformed gang member, who finds himself blackmailed by the government to hunt down his former partners in crime. He follows their orders to try and protect his family. In the end, they come for them anyway, and in his last sacrificial moment, he sends them away and faces down the firing squad himself. After all, you've been through to be shot down like a dog in the street. Bastards. Fast forward 8 years later, and Rockstar has me sobbing all over again. As amazing as the first Red Dead Redemption was, the second one is even more spectacular. The story writing in this game was hard to beat, but ultimately the most moving moment was Arthur's death. And that's saying a lot. Here's a character who's developed as one of the greatest protagonists we've ever seen in any game, going through his richly layered story only to see him die. There's no ending, by the way, in which he doesn't. Either from an illness or by being executed by Micah, which is devastating.
Damn you. Damn us both!
The Mass Effect trilogy is more than a sci-fi game. It's a deep space opera that will demand all your emotional investment. And in return, you'll receive one of the best story epics in video game history. We could have easily done a whole video on every single narrative that pulled at our heartstrings, but we only have time for one. So I'm going with the death of Thane Krios. Thane Krios, part Drell assassin, part holy man, all lover. We first meet Thane in Mass Effect 2 when he slides down that vent into our hearts. Well, mostly he slid down to kill that chick. It's here that Thane joins your Suicide Squad against the Collectors. He's an assassin with a soul and spends most of his time in prayer and meditation. Well, you know, when he's not killing people. Throughout the series, you get used to and perhaps even fall a little bit in love with Thane's charismatic, gruff mannerisms. In Mass Effect 3, if Thane joins you in defending the Solarian Counselor against Cerberus and their jerk of an assassin, Kai Ling. Thane gets mortally wounded and is rushed for medical attention. But it's too late. He's already lost a lot of blood, and the only thing that's left for you is to say goodbye. In his last act on this earth, struggling for breath, he prays for salvation. Once he passes, his son tells you that that last prayer was not intended for his father's soul. It was for you. Losing Thane is emotionally wrecking enough. But Thane's final act of trying to persevere your soul is an emotional punch in the gut.
The prayer was not for him, Commander. He has already asked forgiveness for the lives he has taken. His wish was for you.
Goodbye, Thane. You won't be alone long.
All of the Telltale games force you into making one impossible decision after another, and The Walking Dead is no exception. More than just a zombie-infested world where you smash heads, The Walking Dead is a story about humanity and relationships when everything goes wrong. As you can imagine, any story in a post-apocalyptic world isn't going to be all hearts and roses. But it's especially hard to watch a young girl have to lose everything over and over again. We first meet Clem at just 8 years old, and man, that feels like a long time ago. She's a young child at the very start of the zombie outbreak, being forced to do what she needs to do to survive. She's just lost her parents, but finds herself a guardian and second father in Lee. Toss another bad hand in life, it seems that Lee and Clem might have just found some hope at getting through the end of the world together. In each other, they find a home. That is until the zombies win and Lee gets infected. With his remaining breaths, he tries to make sure that Clem has everything she needs. And at the end, no matter whether you choose to end Lee's life or let him turn into a zombie, Clem is forced to be all alone in this world. Can someone hand me a tissue? The Last of Us is a masterpiece of a game, and one of the best from this decade. But who knew they'd flex so hard right at the very beginning? Sarah's death, damn it, I was not prepared for it. The prologue of The Last of Us begins with our main protagonist, Joel, and his 12-year-old daughter, Sarah. It's the day before the end of the world, but to Sarah and Joel, it's a night like any other night. They laugh and joke, she falls asleep in front of the TV, and he carries her to bed. It's really in these simple moments that The Last of Us shines in their storytelling. In small acts and a few words, they're able to portray some real tangible emotion. That moment of tranquility is so brief that it's a jolt when chaos suddenly ensues. A deadly fungal infection is spreading across the country, causing humans to become mindless aggro zombies. It comes on quickly, and we're tossed headfirst into a scene of pandemonium. The infected are attacking everyone in sight, and people are clamoring over each other to escape. Joel's desperation to keep his daughter safe is almost tangible. He tries, but ultimately fails to protect Sarah. Props to Troy Baker, because that anguish in his voice really hits home. I know what's coming, but I can't help but tear up every time I watch this.
Don't do this to me, baby. Don't do this to me, baby. Come on. No. 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 Please.
Borderlands is a loot-'em-shoot-'em, dick-joke-filled pandemonium mess of a world. It's hilarious, crude, and insanely fun. So you may not have expected a moment from this series to be on this list. But it's probably how unexpected the feels were that made it hit even harder. As usual with any series, there were many moments to choose from, but ultimately, I had to go with Tiny Tina finally accepting Roland's death.
Goodbye.
Tiny Tina's assault on Dragon Keep is one of the best DLCs for any game, period. Taking place after the events of Borderlands 2's main storyline, aka Roland's death, Tiny Tina invites the Vault Hunters to play bunkers and badasses. A parody, of course, of Dungeons & Dragons. In here, Tiny Tina as Bunker Master brings you into a completely reworked world of the Borderlands. From the moment the story begins, you can see that Tiny Tina isn't taking Roland's death so well. She keeps waiting for him to join their game, and her manic denial is almost heartbreaking. The story in this campaign is so lighthearted and compelling, it's easy to miss Tiny Tina's more emotionally charged, unstable moments. Well, more so than usual anyway. It's only at the end when you really see her crack, and she screams and she's forced to admit out loud that Roland is dead. Does it really feel real to her? She's not ready to accept his death, but she has to anyway, and it's just so hard to watch. Same girl, same. R.I.P. Roland, you're up there with Bloodwing now.
Roland is dead.
I know! But it's my story! And...
You know what? It's okay. He doesn't have to go.
Not if you don't want him to.
Yeah, keep going. I actually want to know how the story ends.
Thank you.
It's redundant for me to say what a gorgeous and well-made game Transistor is. Years later, I still have that soundtrack on my playlist, and it brings me back to this moment. This heart-wrenching moment that's far from heroic, but it's so real. From the very beginning, our companion is with us, having sacrificed himself to be reborn in the Transistor. His ever-comforting presence is tipped with love, and all he's ever wanted was for you to be safe. The world is crumbling, and it's up to you to destroy the process and save Cloudbank. You do, and at the end, you're rewarded with a blank canvas, a place to rebuild the city and anything you want, but not him. I think in the back of her mind, Red thought that if she went through all that hardship and got rid of the bad guys, she'd get to be with him. And finding out that she was unable to left her with only one option: stabbing herself with the Transistor. His pleading at the end kills me.
Red! Red. No, Red. No, Red, no.
It's almost 5 years later, and I'm still learning more about the intricate world of Bloodborne. There are so many hidden gems and rich little details hidden that truly make Bloodborne one of the most memorable games of our time. One of the side quests that have stayed with me today as a crushing weight on my soul is the one with the young Yharnam girl and how my actions accidentally lead to the torment of 2 innocent girls. It's the night of the hunt, and all the sensible people of Yharnam are safe in their homes. You walk by a window, and a little girl calls out to you. Her parents are gone, and she asks you to help look for them. How can you refuse? Follow the quest, and eventually, you'll cross paths with Father Gascoigne. He's beasted out and really doesn't leave you any choice except to kill him, right? Well, yes, but it turns out that Father Gascoigne is actually that little girl's father. Oh, and that body on the floor nearby? That's her mother. Ugh. So now the least you can do is shoulder this massive guilt and let this little girl know that you've accidentally made her an orphan. The end. Well, no. As you progress throughout the game, you'll come across a pig in the sewer who drops a ribbon from a little girl. I didn't think twice about it, but the next time I walked by the house of Gascoigne, I hear another girl. A girl looking for her sister after her parents never returned. Now, the story doesn't say it out loud, but it heavily implies that her sister must have been extremely upset that night of the hunt, causing her to run out and get herself killed. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Now all I can do is give the ribbon of the little girl to her sister. That's the end, right? No. Later, through no fault of my own, the sister goes mad with the grief of losing her family, and I eventually find her dead. Too harsh, Bloodborne. Too harsh. Life is Strange was a trip that I was not prepared for. After playing 5 episodes of this coming-of-age teen angst drama, I became emotionally invested. I got attached to the all-quirky citizens of Arcadia Bay. I made friends, rewound time to help everyone I could, and of course, there's Chloe. You can choose to play Chloe as a love interest or as a best friend, but either way, she'll really get under your skin. You watch her go through so much: death, heartbreak, murder, and you try and save her at every turn. You literally rip apart the fabric of time to make sure she can stand by your side. But in the end, she's right. She's in some weird final destination loop, and you're only delaying the inevitable. The right choice is to save the town and sacrifice her. But man, does it hurt. That moment where you rewind back to the beginning only to have to listen to Chloe dying without doing anything is really soul-crushing. All you can do is sit on the floor and cry as every single choice you made before is undone and replaced with a reality where Chloe is dead. I'm so sorry, Chloe. I'll never forget you.
Away from me, psycho!
It's a tale as old as time. The elite assassin is hired to kill a mark, but ends up falling in love with said mark. Well, who can blame her really? But because this is Metal Gear Solid, there's a twist. Quiet at the brink of her death accepted an injection with a parasite that will heal her and give her enhanced powers, which makes her some sort of Superman plant, absorbing her nutrients from Earth's yellow sun. But get the twist. If she were to speak in English, she would release a parasitic epidemic. Quiet was sent in as an organic bomb into Diamond Dogs, but she refused to complete her mission and remained silent. In Mission 45, Quiet is captured by the Soviets and nearly raped, leading to a massive killing spree. Girl can kick ass. Now, Venom Snake arrives intending to free her, and together they take out a giant tank unit. Quiet, knocked out in battle, was carried by Snake through a sandstorm, but unfortunately was bitten by a cobra and fell unconscious. She woke first and saw the situation Snake was in. Having no other choice but to speak English to save Snake, she did, thereby calling for aid but spreading the parasites. After that, she had no choice but to leave to avoid affecting anyone else. That final recording she leaves for Snake feels like a full yank on my heartstrings.
I wanted to express my feelings to you. If only we shared a common tongue.
This game is the best adaptation of Spider-Man, movies included, and I'm ready to fight on this, you guys. Insomniac did a wonderful job making a fun, web-swinging game, but what they added was a deeper and richer experience that I wasn't expecting. The game, thank goodness, didn't take us through another high school Spider-Man origin story. Our Spidey is a little more grown up, and is just trying to balance life as a real person and a superhero. It's a subtle theme in the game that Peter Parker will always choose to do things for the greater good. But in those moments, even though Spider-Man wins, Peter, the man, loses. He takes down Kingpin, but ends up sleeping at a homeless shelter. He beats Dr. Octopus, but ultimately breaks Otto Octavius, his mentor and hero. The worst of all happens when he saves the entire city, but loses his Aunt May.
You have to learn to swallow that Parker pride and accept that you're human, like the rest of us.
After battling so hard to defeat Doc Ock to get the anti-serum to stop the global epidemic, you're able to save everyone. But Aunt May. You have to decide between either producing enough serum for everyone in the city or just saving her. It's not much of a choice, really, and it almost hurts that Aunt May understands. She's known you were Spider-Man this whole time, and she's proud of you. Now somebody needs to tell me what happens after that because I was crying too hard to go on.
Take off your mask. I want to see my nephew.
You knew?
I've known for a while.
I never wanted you to worry.
I did. And I am so proud of you. And Ben would be too. All the people you've saved.
I don't know what to do.
Yes, you do.
Once again, I'm Fatima Qureshi with Gamehubs. Thanks everyone for staying until the end of our moments of ugly crying in the last 10 years of gaming. There's definitely a lot more that we could have added, and if you're interested in another video, just like, subscribe, and leave a comment below on your saddest moment in these last 10 years of gaming. See you in the next episode!